Alessa hated weddings, especially this one. She'd said yes to being her best friend's maid of honor because loyalty, right? But here she was, stuck under the Spanish sun in a vineyard, watching everyone sip cava and laugh like they'd just been handed the secret to life. She felt like a fraud. Romance was for people who hadn't been cheated on 3 times. Then he walked in. Luca, the groom's estranged brother, hadn't RSVP'd, obviously. He moved through the crowd like a damn storm, all sharp jaw and restless energy, his suit too tight around the shoulders to hide the tattoo peeking out above his collar. Alessa's throat went dry. She'd heard the stories, wild artist, the family black sheep, the one who left Barcelona and burned every bridge on the way out. Their eyes met. He smirked. The rehearsal dinner? A disaster. Luca ignored his brother's cold toast, drank straight from the wine bottle like it was water, and somehow ended up leaning against Alessa's chair. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere else," he murmured, his accent rough. "I'm here for Mara," she said, trying to keep it cool, "but you're alive for something else." His knee brushed hers under the table. Anger, sadness, or maybe hunger? His eyes dropped to her lips. She shot to her feet too fast, the chair scraping across the floor. "I need air." And of course he followed. The vineyard at midnight was just shadows and silver-lit grapes. Luca cornered her against a stone wall, his hands braced on either side of her. "Why'd you run?" "You're trouble," she said, voice shaking. "And you're lying to yourself." His thumb brushed her wrist, pulse racing. "That dress, those eyes, you want trouble." Before she even realized it, they were kissing. Or maybe he kissed her. Didn't matter. His mouth was heat, reckless, his hands mapping her body like he'd known her forever. When he bit her lower lip, she gasped, and he took full advantage, deepening the kiss until her knees couldn't hold her up. "Dios, you're perfect," he growled, his fingers tangling in her hair. "But you're still scared. Of what? Of how much more I could make you feel." The next 48 hours? A blur. Stolen moments in wine cellars, his hands sneaking under her dress while she tried to muffle her moans against his shoulder. Late-night whispers on his terrace. Legs tangled as he traced the scar on her hip, her ex's parting gift. "He didn't deserve you," Luca said, kissing the mark, "but I'm not him." The wedding day came. Alessa was adjusting Mara's veil when her friend shot her a look. "You're glowing. Did you finally download Tinder?" Alessa glanced out the window. Luca was standing in the courtyard, cigarette dangling from his lips, staring up at her. He winked. The reception was a fever dream. They danced, Luca's hand sliding dangerously low on her back. "Come to Paris with me," he whispered, lips brushing her ear. "Tonight." "You don't do commitments," she whispered back. "I don't," he agreed. "But for you?" He spun her, pulling her close. "I'd break every rule. They didn't make it to Paris. Hell, they didn't even make it past the vineyard's gate." His rental car became their sanctuary. Seats reclined, her dress shoved up around her waist as he worshipped her, hungry, relentless. "Tell me what you want," he demanded. "You!" she gasped. "Always you." 6 months later, Alessa's apartment in Madrid smells like oil paint and espresso. Luca's latest canvas, a swirl of gold and crimson, leans against the wall. She runs her fingers over the brushstrokes, a smile tugging at her lips. "Still scared?" he asks, his arms wrapping around her from behind. She turns, nipping his jaw. "Only of how much worse my taste in men has gotten." He laughs, low and wicked, and pulls her back to bed.